Welcome to Wednesday. And what does Wednesday mean? Of course, it's the marathon day where we look at one of the big catalogues. Today is a request, and we're looking at Canadian composer singer Bryan Adams. Very, very successful artist from Canada. He's sold between 175 million records and singles worldwide. So it makes him one of the most best-selling artists of all time. He's had a really big following all over the world and has released 15 albums. We're not including Pretty Woman the musical on here because I'm going to feature it on a separate thing because it's not actually a physical format. It hasn't got a catalogue number or anything, and so to me it's not part of the thing, the catalogue. It needs to have a proper, it's got to be physical. Here is the album, blah blah blah. So we've got 15 to look at. Now I've always liked Bryan Adams, but there was a period in his time that I really went off him because I think the music just became generic and sounding the same. I know there's a lot of people out there that really love that period, and I get it, but for me it just became generic, and I felt like he was putting out albums just for the sake of it. It didn't seem to have any heart or soul, which was a shame. But when he went and worked with Jeff Lynne, he came back with a bang, and from then onwards his albums have really, really got better, and his latest album is a pretty good album, without a doubt. It's gone full circle. He's going back to the sound that he had from the mid-80s up until the mid-90s. So let's have a look at these albums. So coming in at number 15, we have an album released in 2002. It was the 9th album, and it was a soundtrack for a film called Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. On here we got Bryan Adams doing the vocals and acoustic guitars and electric, and then the rest of the people: Gavin Greenway, Steve Jablansky, Patrick Leonard and Ham Zimmers are keyboards and programming. No sign of a drummer. Oh dear. So first track on here is called Here I Am, which is the end title. It's a nice tune until the drum machine comes in. It just sounds plastic. I Will Always Return. It's alright, pleasant enough. It's got a nice guitar solo on it. You Can't Take Me. The drum machine on it just spoils it, and it doesn't fit in with the song at all. Get Off of My Back. I don't mind this track. It's quite a nice rocky riff to it, although the drums are false, of course. Brothers Under the Sun. It's just lacking something here. I don't know what it is. It's called a drummer, but it has got a good guitar solo. Don't Let Go. This is featuring Sarah McLachlan. Nice duo, but it's a little bit generic. This Is Where I Belong. A typical Mutt Lange ballad. Doesn't do nothing for me. Here I Am. Again, some more generic rock here. It's not bad, it's pleasant enough, but it doesn't rock the boat. Sound of the Bugle. I don't know, this is a little bit dull. I don't know what. Doesn't do anything for me, it's not memorable. Run Free. Now this is a piece of music done by Hans Zimmer. It's very good. I like Hans Zimmer's soundtrack stuff he's done. It's very nice. Homeland, the main title. Very nice as well, very pleasant. Rain, again, just really, really good. The Long Road Back. Now this is one of these tracks that is definitely soundtrack music. Unless you know what's going on in the film, you really can't get into it. But I do appreciate his work on it. Nothing I Ever Known. It's okay. Nothing special. And the last track, I Always Return. Again, it's okay. It's like the finale of the film. It's pretty decent enough. It's nice enough to listen. It's okay, but it did lack a drummer. I think the tracks would have been a bit more richer and more full if we had a proper drummer instead of a machine in the corner. And there's quite a few generic rock tracks on here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming at number 14, we have the 12th album, released in 2014, called Tracks of My Years. And it's a mix of songs reflective of the time when rock and roll was played alongside pop and R&B, and it was when Bryan got into music. The first track is a cover of a Beatles song, Any Time at All, and he does a pretty good version of it. I do like it. Then we got a sort of original song. There are some originals on this. She Knows Me is pretty good. I like that track. I Can't Stop Loving You from Don Gibson. I don't like this version of the song. I didn't like the song to start with, so less we say about that. Then we got Kiss and Say Goodbye. Yeah, it's alright. Lady Lay, Bob Dylan. It's a very good version. Rock and roll music, Chuck Berry. Nothing wrong with this version. It's always a good little rocker anyway. Down on the Corner, from, of course, Clearwater Revival. It's not a bad version, but it's not as good as the original. Never My Love, a song done by the Association. It's good. I've got no problem with that. And then probably the worst version of Sunny I've ever heard. The Tracks of My Tears, the old Smokey and the Robinson and the Miracles version. It's not a bad version of the song. And then the really bad version of God Only Knows, by the Beach Boys, of course. You've Got a Friend in Me. Now, this is a song that he did for the Disney film Old Dogs, and that's one of my favourite tracks on this album. It's a quirky little rocker. Then we have a version of Chris Christopherson's Help Me Make It Through the Night. I don't mind this version. It's a pretty solid song in the day. Come On Everybody. Of course, we know it's an Eddie Cochran number. It's not bad, but it's not as good as Eddie's, of course. Then we get Many Rivers to Cross, Jimmy Cliff number. Not as good as Jimmy's, not as good as UB40's. It's alright. Then we got You Shook Me, done by Muddy Waters, and then of course Led Zeppelin. It's not a bad version, but of course it has not got a spot on Led Zeppelin's version. Okay, this, as like as most cover albums, is a hit and miss one. There's some good versions and some bad versions. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 13, we have the 11th album released in 2008 called 11. On here we've got Bryan Adams on guitars and vocals, of course. Keith Scott does some guitars as well. Colin Cripps. There's such a huge load of people on this. They all do bits and bobs. And Mutt Lange's involved, so he does some bass and production. First track on this album is called Tonight We Have the Stars. It's got some. It's not a bad track. Got some nice riffs in it, but then they give it to Mutt Lange to produce, and we know what he does with drums. He doesn't like drums being loud and boomy. He likes them clean and smooth. And it just, if the drums were a lot more bolder on that, I think that'd be an even better track. But we got what we got. I thought I'd seen everything. It's just one of them mediocre tracks. I don't really like it. I don't like the production on it. I just think it needs a little bit more boom to it. I Ain't Losing the Fight, bit generic. It's there's nothing. It's not memorable. Oxygen, I like this one. I like it. I love the acoustic start to this. It's got a very good vocal from Bryan. It's a pretty decent track. We found what we're looking for. Again, it's a little bit generic. Got Mutt Lang coming in for the Mr. Perfection again. Just go in and plug and go. Don't need to spend 12 years on one track. Broken Wings. Nice guitar work on this, but it's a little bit generic. Something to Believe In. Quite a mellow track. It's pleasant. Mysterious Ways. I like this. It's a nice song, but what adds to this is the strings. Gives that an extra layer and depth. Very, very good. She's Got Away. The drums just don't sound right on this. I don't know if it's a drum machine or a real drummer, to be quite honest. It just doesn't sound right. Then we get my favourite track on the album, Flower Grown Wild. I love the hooky melody on this. It really is a catchy tune. Some nice guitar work. Great singing from Bryan as ever. Pretty cool. Walk On By. It's nice. Got a nice acoustic song with some nice strings to accompany that. Again, it's a pleasant enough album. It's got some very generic songs on it that's not memorable for me. I do feel like he's just gone through the motions on this. There's not a song on here that jumps out for me, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 12, go to 1980 to the self-titled debut, Bryan Adams. On here we've got Bryan Adams doing the vocals, piano and acoustic guitars, Peter Bajering on keyboards and guitars, Marek Norman keyboards and backing vocals, Jim Vallance plays everything he can get his hands on, Jeff Baxter's on here doing guitars, Jim Clench, and then a host of people that come in and out doing bits. Gene Marosta's saxophone and Sharon Lee Williams doing the backing vocals. Hiding From Love is the first track. I love this track. It's got a sort of rawness to it from 1980. Plug in and go stuff, and I like that sound. Even though now you think it's dated, it sounds pretty cool. Then we got my favourite track on this one, Win Some Lose Some. Again, very good track. The drums sound really good on this, and it's got some great riffs and a great vocal from Bryan. Wait and See. Again, it's got some great riffs, but this one, what lets this down is the production on this one. Not very good. Give Me Your Love. It's a bit slushy for me, and I don't like the 80s keyboards on it. Wasting My Time. Nice rocker. This is the start of that unique sound that Bryan created. Don't You Say It, a bit poppy for me, bit weird, got this disco sort of sound to it with the strings. It doesn't fit on the album at all. Remember, love this track. It's a nice little rock track, like that one a lot. State of Mind, it's a more rock pop than rock. It's a bit flat for me. Try and See It My Way. Nice quirky rocker, great vocal. This is where we was going to go with Bryan. This was a reasonably good debut album, I think, but what I think would make this album a lot better now is if they remastered it, like a lot of people are doing, like David Gilmour did it with Momentary, That's the Reason. Get rid of that 80s sound, produce it a little bit better. I think then you'd have a fine album. I like the album, don't get me wrong, but I think it just needs revamping. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay then, coming in at number 11, we have the 8th album released in 1998, On a Day Like Today. This has got Bryan Adams. He's on a Wurlitz electric piano, a Mellotron guitars, Robbie Buchan on keyboards, Vincent Jones Hammond organ. We've got Keith Scott on guitars, and a guest vocal from Miss Melanie Chisholm. First track on here is called How Do You Feel? How Do You Feel Tonight? Like this track. Great rocker. The drums sound fantastic on this. Really good track. Come On, Come On. A little bit generic, I suppose, but I do like the driving riffs in this, and it's a really great vocal from Bryan. Getaway. Now the drums on this, I don't know if it's a drum machine, but it sounds like a drum machine. I don't know what they've done on it. It just lacks beat. Then we get On a Day Like Today. Really good guitars on this. I love the solo on that. Fearless, strong guitar, like the riffs, really good song. Love the bass line on this, fantastic. I'm a Liar. This one's alright. It's not my favourite. It's a nice little tune though. Cloud Number 9. It's alright. Bit generic. Nothing outstanding about it. Then we get my favourite song, When You're Gone. This is the one he did with Melanie Chisholm. I love this. I think they sound great together. Very catchy tune. Best song on the album without a doubt. Inside Out. This is another good strong track. Sorry. Oh, that hurt. I love the bass line on this. Adds really depth to this song. Really good song. If I Had You. It's okay. Generic rock again. Before the Night Is Over. This is going back to when he was at his height. It's one of them tracks that could have been on one of them earlier albums. I love that track. I Don't Want to Live Forever. Nice solid rocker here. Love the guitar work on it. Very good. Where the Angels Fear to Tread. It's a ballad, and some of Bryan Adams' ballads I'm not very keen on. I think they lack a little bit of beef. On the whole, this is a good album. There's some really good tracks on this. The old sound of Bryan Adams is prominent on this album, but there are some tracks on there that are not very memorable. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 10, we have the 10th album released in 2004, Room Service. On here we've got Bryan Adams doing lots of instruments, Keith Scott guitars, Mickey Curry drums, Norm Fisher bass, Gary Barrett on piano and organ, and Phil Thornley guitars and keyboards. First track on this one is East Side Story. Quirky little rock track this is. Love the guitars on this. Nice and crisp and rich. The South Side of Paradise. It's very country. It's a pleasant song. Not Romeo, Not Juliet. It's a ballad. And as I've said, I'm not very keen on Bryan Adams' ballads. I love his rock stuff more. Flying, just not my cup of tea. Sung by Mutt Lang, and you can tell it is. It just doesn't do nothing for me. She's a little too good for me. Love this track. Nice little rocker. Love the arrangement. I love the bass line. It really is thumping. Good track. Open Road. Again, I find this a little bit generic rock. There's just nothing outstanding about it. The title track, Room Service. I love the bass line. The guitar works well on this, and it's got a great vocal from Bryan. I Was Only Dreaming. A really good track. And I think the strings really add to this track. Great little rocker. Rock Back Where We Started From. Nice little rocker. Quite a popular track, this one, from this album. I love the guitar riffs and the solo on this. It's a pretty cool track. Nowhere Fast. That opening riff, so crisp, not a bad track. Then we have another ballad. Why do you have to be so hard to love? I don't like it. Then there's there was a version that's not on the American version, but it's on the UK and Japan albums. It's a B-side of a single, Blessing in Disguise. It's actually the best track on the album. It's a bit rockabilly. I love this rockabilly track. It's really, really good. It's not a bad album. There's a lot of generic on it, but it has got some really good tracks. But there's nothing here that really outstanding again. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, it's controversial time from Iain. Coming at number 9, we have from 1991, the 6th album, Waking Up the Neighbours. On here we've got Bryan Adams, Robbie King on the Hammond organ, Tommy Mandel on organ, Phil Nichols keyboards, Bill Payne guitars and keyboards, Ed Shearmore keyboards, Keith Scott lead guitars, load of bass players. So the first track is Your Mama Gonna Miss Ya. I love this. Really good track. Love the drums and the cowbell. A lot of people don't like that cowbell song, but I love it. Great track. Honey, I'm Packing You In. My favourite track on this album. It is an absolutely damn rocker. Can't Stop This Thing Was Started, one of the commercial excuse me, on the album. I thought it was pretty too radio friendly and jumping on the bandwagon. Now this next song, Thought I'd Died and Gone to Heaven, sounds too much like Def Leppard. The arrangement is too Def Leppard. There's only room for one band that does that sort of stuff, and that's Def Leppard. Not Guilty, really good track, love that. Great little rocker that is. Vanishing, I just don't like the track, it's just wishy-washy. House Arrest, another good rocker. Do I have to say the words? A little bit too sloppy. Pass the bucket round, please. I'm struggling here. There will never be another tonight. I like this track. Love that opening riff. One of the better songs on this album, I think. All I Want Is You. Again, it's a ballad. Don't want to hear all these ballads. Again, Depend on Me. Another ballad. Don't like that one. And then we get Everything I Do It For You. Oh. The song that was at number 1 forever. I don't even play this now. I skip it. I just cannot listen to it. I know there's a lot of people that love this, but I'm sorry. I just thinking of it. If You Want to Leave Me, Can I Come To? Great rocker. Love that. Brilliant track. Touch the Hand, another good rocker. One of the heavy rockers on this album. Don't Drop the Bomb on Me. Great track. This is going to be a controversial for a lot of people. There's some really good rockers on here, especially the last 3 tracks. There's too many ballads. Mutt Lange is trying to make Bryan sound like Def Leppard. I think this is where this is the start of the downward spiral for me. The tracks I like on this are brilliant, but as I said, there's too many ballads, and Mutt Lange is trying to make him sound like Def Leppard. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 8, we have the 15th and most current album. It only came out on March the 11th. So I've been listening to this a lot, sort of put the others together until this one. So and it's called So Happy It Hurts. It's got Bryan Adams doing vocals, bass and electric, Keith Scott on guitars, Pat Stewart drums, Michelangelo backing vocals, Mutt Lange doing backing vocals, and we got John Cleese on here doing some vocals, speaking vocals, and Luke Doshett. First track on here is the title track, So Happy It Hurts. It's a good opening track, thumping bass line. I love the drumming on this. What a start to the album. Never Gonna Rain, that opening bass line blew me away. The guitars, it's a really good rock track. Lift Me Up, Mutt Lange all over this. Oh dear, you get two great rockers. Along comes Mutt Lange and puts some mockers on it. He's still looking for perfection. I wonder how many years this track took. I just don't like it. I've Been Looking For You, great rocker. Love this, one of my favourite tracks on the album. Goes back to the old days of proper Bryan Adams rock. Always Have, Always Will, The Perfection of Mutt Lange, doesn't do anything for me. On the Road, actually one of the better tracks that Mutt Lange's involved with, don't mind that. Then we get Kiss, Kick Ass. This features the beginning, John Cleese doing one of his little speechy things. It really adds to this track. Okay, Mutt Lange's involved with it, but it's a damn good track. Really heavy and raw. Then we excuse the French on this one. The next track is called Ain't Worth the Shit Without You. It's pretty good actually. It's a good little track. Let's Do This. Mutt Lange trying to make him sound like Def Leppard again, and it just doesn't work for me. I just don't like it. It's not a very good track. Just Like Me, Just Like You. This is what we're used to. This is old stuff. Brilliant track. Just About Gone. I think this has got a pretty Tom Petty feel to it, and it's a really good track. These Moments All Make Up My Life. I like this. It's a little bit slower, but when it's one of his better slower tracks, I think it's very personal, and it's a very, very good track. I think this is a really good album. It continues with the last few albums in that vein. All I can criticise on this album is the tracks that I don't like are all Mutt Lange tracks, and I just think he just sort of comes along and tries to do something different. I don't know why Bryan persists with Mutt Lange, because the songs on here that he's not involved with are the best songs and they rock. So I'm going to give this album an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming at night number 7, released in 1996. This was the last album I brought for a long time, and it's 18 Till I Die. It's the 7th album. Got Bryan Adams on here, Ollie Romo doing percussion, Michael Calm string arrangements and acoustic piano, Keith Scott guitar, Mutt Lange's on here again, and loads of other people. First track on here is a really great track. The only thing that looks good on me is You. I love the guitar work on this. Great solo as well, and it's one of my favourite tracks by Bryan Adams. Do To You. This is very Rolling Stones track. Great harmonica on this. Really, really strong track. Let's Make It A Night to Remember. It's not too bad. but the solo on this is terrific. Then we get the title track, 18 Till I Die. Love this. Nice guitar melodies. Really strong track. Star. Don't like this one, and we all know why I don't like it. It's got that Mutt Lang blow gone again. I Wanna Be Your Underwear. Catchy little tune, great guitar work, fun track, funky bass line. I Think About You, one of them power ballads that I'm not particularly keen on. I'll Always Be Right There, again it's just one of them ballads. It Ain't a Party If You Can't Come Round. Love this, great rocker. Back to the Good Old Days, that one is. Black Pearl, great track. Driving riffs, the drums on here are so crisp, great track. Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman? Probably one of his best slow tracks. Love the guitar work on this. Don't mind that one at all. We're gonna win. Okay, this is cheesy as they come, but I like it. I love the riffs, I love the energy, and I like the acoustic guitar in this. Really good. As I said, this was the last Bryan Adams album I purchased up until 2015. I just really went off him without some of them albums, which are at the bottom half of this ranking, as you know. I'm really getting back into him now, though. The later stuff. So I'm going to give this an album an RTO ranking of 7.9. Okay then, coming in at number 6, we go to the second album released in 1981. You Want It, You Got It. It's got Bryan Adams on, of course. Tony Mandel keyboards, Jamie Glazier guitars, G. Smith guitars, Brian Stanley bass, Mickey Curry on drums, and John Guber on the saxophone. Lonely Nights, love this track, solid riffs, great vocal from Bryan, love that one. Next track, One Good Reason. The start of this reminds me of a song by Split Enz. I think it's called I Got You. I love that start, it's a great track. Don't Look Now. Oh, this sounds like a Bruce Springsteen number, but there's nothing wrong with that because I love Bruce Springsteen. Really good track. Coming Home, probably the weakest track on the album. It's not too bad. Fits You Good, my favourite track on here. Love the guitars. This is the real start of that Bryan Adams sound. It's just a great track. Jealousy, another song that sounds like Bruce Springsteen, and as I said before, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a really good track, I like it. Tonight, another booming bass line on this. The drums are really good. It's a really good rock track. Title track, You Want It, You Got It. Love the guitar in this. Again, it's got that really 80s sound that he developed. Crisp, good track. Last Chance, again, really good riffs in this, but the keyboards to this adds a great texture to it, and it's a brilliant vocal from Bryan. No One Makes It Right, just one of his generic ballad songs. This album is a lot stronger than the debut. It's got better tracks on it, some really great guitar work. This is the direction that Bryan was going in, and I really love this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 5, we go to the 14th album, released in 2019, Shine a Light. The opening track, Shine a Light. I don't like this track. It's a sort of thing that he worked with Ed Sheeran. Now, I don't like Ed Sheeran. I know that kids love him. But he's a pop singer, and he wrote, sort of half wrote this song, and you can tell. You're a pop singer, Ed. Keep away from rock. That's How Strong Our Love Is, featuring Jennifer Lopez. Again, what is too poppy? I don't like it. Anyway, that's the worst tracks on the album gone. Every track in now I love. Part Friday night, part Sunday morning. Proper rocker. Really strong rocker. Goes back to the old days. Great stuff. Driving under the Influence of Love. This is just good old fashioned boogie woogie rock. Nothing wrong with this one. I love it. It's my favourite track on the album. All or Nothing. Opening riffs are strong. The drums come in. Boom. Proper Bryan Adams. No Time for Love. Proper rock and roll this is. And I love the guitar solo, and it is fantastic. I could get used to this. Maybe short, but the riff is brilliant. It's a catchy tune, and I like that one a lot. Talk to Me. One of the slower songs, but this is a really good song. I do like that one. It's not so slushy. It's just nice words. The Last Night on Earth. It's a bit poppy. It's pop rock. Shouldn't be on a rock album. Nobody's Girl. Solid track. Love this. It's just got a catchy melody. Really good. The last track, one of the last but one track, is Don't Look Back. Another pleasant song. Just a good rock song. And then he does a version of Whiskey in the Jar. It's a little bit different. It's very acoustic and harmonica, and I do like this version of it. Very, very good. Apart from, I think, 3 tracks on here, this is a very good album. It's gone back to form, but he needs to keep away from the pop stuff and just concentrate on rock. But on the whole, it's a great album, and I'm giving this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 4. It's an album we've actually featured on this channel before, because the producer is Mr. Jeff Lynne, and it's Get Up, 13th album, released in 2015. Got lots of people playing on this. Opening track is You Belong to Me. Brilliant track. Obviously the production's brilliant. You can tell it's Jeff Lynne working on this. It's a great track. I love it. Go Down Rocking. Great track. Great rocker. Bryan Adams singing brilliant on here. Lovely song. We Did It All. Great vocal from Bryan. And it's got that great sound that Jeff Lynne produces. Love it. That's rock and roll. Oh, I love this. Great rock and roll. Bryan Adams has really come back on form with this. Brilliant. Don't Even Try. Again, it's just a great track. Great rocker. Great guitar work on this. Beautifully produced. Wonderful. Do you want to? What do you want to? What? Oh, I hate this. Do you what you got to do? I still can't talk properly. Great vocal from Bryan. You got Jeff doing some backing vocals on this. It's just brilliant. It's just great rock and roll. Thunderbolt, belter of a track. The solid rock. Yesterday Was Just a Dream. This is a song that you could be on an ELO album or any other Jeff Lynne produced album. I love it. Brand New Day. Again, it's solid. Such a catchy tune. All these tunes are so catchy. I think this is an album that brought Bryan Adams back to basics after that rough patch. It's a solid album. One of my favourite albums, playlist to death, and I give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Now we're moving into the top 3. This is hard because these three albums I play a lot, and as again, it's one of them. One week this is number 2, the next week it's number. It's just so hard. But we go with this today. So coming in at number 3 is the 5th album, Into the Fire. We got Bryan Adams on here, Robbie King, Tommy Mandel, Dave Pickle, Ian Stanley on keyboards, and a host of others. First track is Heat of the Night. Love the bass line on this. Bryan's guitar work on this is really good. Brilliant. Into the Fire. Great vocal from Bryan. Love the guitar work in this. Whoever's playing on this, you know, Bryan and all the other people that have had it. Brilliant track. Victim of Love. Love the bass and piano and keyboard working well together, driving this song along, and the guitar solo is pretty good. Another Day. What the drumming on this is just solid. Great track. Native Son. Again, it's one of those slower songs from Bryan, but it's actually good. It's got a good melody. I love the guitar solo on it. Fantastic. Then we get my favourite track, Only the Strong Survive. The bass line and keyboards dominate this track, and it's just a great little rocker. Rebel. It's a slow one, but it's got a great guitar solo in it. Remembrance Day, not too bad. Not the favourite on the album, it's still listenable though. Hearts on Fire, this has got that distinctive Bryan Adams sound. The driving riffs, nice keyboards, great vocal, good all-round track. Home Again, another good track. It's a bit slower, but the Hammond organ on this sounds brilliant, and I love that track. Deep and rich. This is one of them albums of that great trilogy of Bryan Adams albums in the mid-80s. I love this album, one of the best sounding rock albums of the 80s, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 2, third album released in 1983, Cuts Like a Knife. Bryan Adams on the lead guitars, Tommy Mandel on the Hammond and all sorts of keyboards, Keith Scott guitars, Dave Taylor on the bass, Mickey Curry on drums, Jim Vance doing percussion, and Lou Gramm from Foreigner doing some backing vocals. The Only One, love this track. Strong riffs, the bass line, great vocal, and the backing vocals provided by Mr. Lou Gramm. Really good track. Take Me Back, again Lou Gramm's backing vocals, you can tell he's singing on this. Opening riff is brilliant, a great guitar solo on top of it. What more do you want? This time one of the weaker tracks on the album, but it's still listenable. Then we get a ballad that I'm not very keen on. Cuts Like a Knife, of course, a classic, one of my favourite tracks. This is the best one on the album. Classic track. I love the drums in this, just a great melody. I'm Ready, another of them little great rockers with a fantastic guitar solo. Don't Leave Me Honey, another great rocker, great solo. Them driving riffs that you get at the start of most of these great tracks from Bryan, really good. Let Him Know, again rips away with a great riff. The Best Is Yet to Come, it's a little bit wishy-washy, but the version I do like is the one he did at Live Aid. It's pretty good. This is a great album. It's got lots of classics on, a couple of tracks that I'm not keen on, but I still think it doesn't spoil the listening on this great album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9.5. Okay, my number 1. Well, it's number 1 for a reason. Probably the best, most successful album he made. Released in 1984. 4th album, and it's Reckless. Bryan Adams on it, Tony Mandel's back, We've got Robert Sabino on keyboards, Keith Scott's back on the guitars, Dave Taylor's there on the bass. Drums is done by Pat Stewart, Mickey Curry and Steve Smith and Jim Valance. Lou Graham's back doing some more backing vocals on one track, and it's got a guest star of Tina Turner. Opens up with the brilliant One Night Love Affair. That opening riff, terrific. The guitar solo is just brilliant. Love that track to death. She's happy. She's only happy when she's dancing. Another really good track. The keyboard and the guitar solo on this is brilliant. Really uplifting track, brilliant. Then we get the classic Run to You. First track I had ever heard by Bryan Adams. Oh, this is a very special track. Heard it on the radio, went and brought the 7-inch single. Couldn't believe it. I think I heard it on Radio 1. Of all the places to hear this, Radio 1. Great track. Love the guitar solo in this, it's just brilliant. Then we get Heaven. It's a song that I don't like and I never have. Still don't like it today. Somebody. Love the bass line in this. Really good rock track. Love it. It's just a really strong track. Then we get the Summer of '69. Now, okay, this is overplayed these days, but everyone doesn't really. A lot of girls like this. Now, for those ladies that watch it, if you need to look at the lyrics, because it's not just about being in a band in 1969 and they split up. It's actually about something else, which has got nothing to do with music. Listen to the words. Watch the words. If you got it on Spotify, put the karaoke in. Look at the words, because this has nothing to do with rock and roll music in places. It's a good song though, although it's overplayed these days. I do like it. Then we get the brilliant Kids Wanna Rock. Oh, first time I heard this, blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Just love that energy. Being just turned 18 when this come out. Oh, great rocker. Then we get my favourite track, one of my favourite tracks by Bryan Adams. It's Only Love, with the fantastic Tina Turner. Everybody loves this track and there's a reason, because it's bloody good. Love that track. Then we get Long Gone, a good little rocker. Love the keyboard textures on this. Really, really good. Play that track a lot. I love this one. Then we ends up with Ain't Gonna Cry. I love this. It's got a great bass line, and then there's a bit when it stops and he goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 and then he goes I can't do it very well because of the saw, but it's incredible. What a way to end the album. Now, I love this album. It came out just after my 18th birthday, and as you do a present, you usually get gift tokens and what have you. So I knew the album was out. I'd heard Run to You, which I'd got, and I'd heard It's Only Love by Tina Turner, and I love Tina Turner. So I thought, right, I'm going to buy the album. Brought it on cassette, because they were cheaper than albums. And I love it, and I love this, and I wore the cassette out, and eventually got it on CD, and I now play this. It's a very, very special album. I know it, it's the most successful, and it's one of them albums from an artist that I really like, because the songs are great and everyone loves it. I do fall into that category on this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.6. Okay, I managed to get through that. I'm getting better, it's getting better, I must admit, but still not 100%. Well, I hope you enjoy that. I know this will be a lot of controversial with people that will probably go, whoa, you got that wrong, blah, 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 but we all listen to things differently. And as I said, it was that period after 18 Till I Die up to the one you did with Jeff Lynne, which is Get Up. I think I've got the right title. Yeah, Get Up. That was the period that there was the odd track I liked by him. And then you got from Get Up onwards, each album is really good. Even the new album's superb. I love it. Apart from the wishy-washy tracks at the beginning. On the whole, he's gone back to the roots. Hopefully we'll get another one with him at some stage as well. Like another live album. Be nice to get a live album, because I think some of them older tracks would sound better live anyway. I've got a couple of his live albums and they do sound better live, these tracks. Probably do a live album ranking of Bryan Adams at some stage. Okay, that's all for today. Be back tomorrow for Then and Now. Tomorrow we have got Warrant, and then we got album artwork, and it's one of my friend Dave, who's Mr. Stato himself on the live stream. He loves Nightwish and he loves their album artwork. And then we got the live stream tomorrow. I don't think it'll be as long. Depends how my tongue is tomorrow, but we'll be definitely doing it. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.